Hi, I'm doing great. Hope that you're holding up. A couple of people asked me to give more examples of some alkaline dishes that they could make and some more information, so that's what I'm going to do today. If you can't get organic food, then at least get fresh food. And if you can't get fresh food, then get frozen. Your very last choice should be canned, because canned food is highly processed, and the biggest problem is the fact that it comes in usually a BPA can, which is very misleading. You wouldn't think organic food would be in a BPA can, but it is, unless it specifically says that it isn't, and very few say that they are not. Then it has BPA. It's an epoxy, not good. You should avoid dead foods like pasta, and I know people hate me for saying that, but if you can't throw it down and have it grow, then it has no enzymes. It's not alive. It doesn't have the nutrients that really activate cellular repair. So it's okay to have it sometimes, but ideally, no. And if you're gonna do pasta, don't do wheat, because wheat is in my dark triad, the dark triad. Wheat, dairy, and sugar. Everyone has a wheat intolerance, if not a flat-out allergy. All of it is to be avoided, even the organic one. Most of us have been eating non-organic wheat, and it is highly modified, genetically modified, and it will actually change your molecular structure. We're in the middle right now of having upgrades on our DNA repair, and this is one of the reasons why. One of the biggest things is from genetic modifications in the food. It started with wheat and corn, and then you sort of like went under the radar. I don't think people realize that every single thing that they're eating is highly modified, and it's scrambling your DNA. Eating organic is expensive, but if you eat seasonally, it's not so bad. You can actually get really great prices. And the other option is to grow at home. That will be the cheapest of all, and you will never have to deal with what we're going through right now, where you will not have the foods that you want at the supermarket. I'm a huge fan of hydroponic. You have a water supply, and you have pre-measured nutrients that you will add, and then that is sprayed over the roots. So you actually will have 2 to 3 times the growth rate and the output than you would with traditional gardening. So I'm a huge fan for that, because it's efficient, nothing is wasted. You can have it inside, you can have it outside, you can drape it in plastic, you can stack it up to the ceiling. You have a lot of options. You can pinch off of it every single day and it'll grow right back. Absolutely fabulous. I already mentioned wheat. I'm going to say it again because it's important. Don't eat it. It's lethal. It prevents you from absorbing nutrients. If you really love cheese and you want to treat yourself, just put a minimal amount on, like say you do a little pizza or something at home that you make on your wheat-free crust. That would be okay. And you'll see that when you stop eating it, when you stop eating sugar, anything like that, when you do have it, you don't need a lot to feel satisfied, because the flavors are very strong. Either eat real cheese or don't eat real cheese, because fake cheese is putrid. I don't recommend it at all. You're not going to be able to eat it unless you are a masochist. So it's gross. Just don't go there. If you're really interested in the effects of sugar, and really all of you should read this book if you haven't read it, because it's astonishing. Sugar Blues. In case you don't know, it is more addictive than heroin. And the interesting thing is, sugar consumption was always the downfall of a civilization. Why? Because it is pure acid. It dissolves the connective tissue on your skin. People who've been eating cheap sugar for most of their lives, they have that skin that just hangs, like just hangs, and they have no definition on their jawline at all. That's what sugar will do for you. It's very unattractive looking. And we give it to our children. Don't do that. There are only 2 that I approve of: honey and pure maple syrup. I used to be a very pure vegan, I never deviated at all. So I would always do maple syrup, which is wonderful. But I've since then learned the benefits of honey, I believe, outweigh those of maple syrup. But maple syrup can be heated. So if you're baking and you're doing something, you're making my vegan fudge balls, you should really use maple syrup, because some things are going to turn toxic if you heat them, and honey is one of them. It's antibacterial, antifungal, and Ayurvedic practitioners all recommend honey, that you actually have it every day. If you combine honey with hot water and fresh lemon or lime, you have a really great microbe deterrent. And I recommend that you have that every day now with this corona thing going around. I believe that part of its power is stored in sacred geometry. Have you ever noticed that bees create a perfect hexagonal structure? And that hexagonal structure creates a pure resonant vibration, and it's very healing. How much math do you have to take in order to qualify to be a bee? I mean, talk about, I'm getting really off track here, but it's like, it's a bee, you know, like highly intelligent. A bee could be, how intelligent could a bee be? Everything that I ever thought I knew about anything has been completely turned upside down. So everything is pretty much ass backwards, and we need to get it right. We wonder why we're unhealthy and unhappy and we're destroying the planet. Misinformation, ignorance, misinformation. So we can fix that. That's easy. It just takes a desire to be better, a desire to learn something new. People are asking, what are some dishes that are inexpensive, fast, and easy? Okay, whole grains. First of all, let me say this. People are terrified of whole grains. Grain brain, there are all these, remember that, Dr. whatever? Grain brain's gonna make you crazy and melt your brain and cause Alzheimer's. Bullshit, I'm calling bullshit on that. It's not the grain's fault, it's the shitty grains that we're all eating that are causing the problems, which we already talked about earlier. Oat groats, barley, whole brown rice, wild rice, which is actually a grass, fabulous for you. Quinoa and millet. Quinoa and millet are two of the best ones. They're high in protein, absolutely fabulous. And if you're doing a vegetarian vegan diet, you have to have them. They're wonderful. Oat groats are my favorite. They're totally unprocessed. Kind of hard to find these days because you have to soak them overnight and then simmer them for 30 to 45 minutes in the morning. That's why people buy processed foods. But I'll tell you what, oat groat challenge, order some, give it a try. You will never want any other kind of oat again. It tastes nothing like steel cut oats. They're like mushy and have no flavor, and they're still okay. These are the best, absolutely fabulous. So if I were making them, I would chop them up with, chop up some dates or raisins or currants, and then maybe put a little flaxseed oil, and I do salt. When I put all this stuff in it, it tastes so good to me that I just add a little salt. I don't add sweetener, but you could put a splash of honey or maple syrup if you wanted. If you end up making your own granola bars, you can put them in your granola bars too. Pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, pecans, almonds, eat lots of almonds because almonds are one of the best alkaline, nutritious foods. Your nuts and your seeds. Ideally, you should be soaking them overnight. If you don't, that's okay. Oh, and they have to be raw. If you're buying roasted nuts, well, it's dead. It's dead. I mean, you're maybe getting some fiber, but no, don't do that. And they all kind of taste the same. Roasted things kind of taste, I don't know. Get raw nuts and keep them in your fridge because they can go rancid, and then soak them overnight because it will activate the enzymes. We're talking about the growth enzymes. When you soak it overnight, it activates, it's ready to grow, and those active enzymes, it's an infusion in your cells of health. It's amazing. You can soak them for 3 days and sprout them if you like. You can do that with just about anything, and it's a wonderful thing to do when you're on a raw diet. I would not recommend this unless you are seriously into your vegetarian alkalizing thing, because it's a weird ass musty flavor that you have to get used to. It's doable if your taste buds are already headed in that direction, but you're gonna run the other way if you try it right away. Just the fact. I find that everything sprouted has the same flavor. Musty. There are places to use your sprouted stuff. You can use a dehydrator and make them into chips and all that kind of stuff. Okay, if I don't do oat groats, I would do an alternative, which would be something that's not sweet. This is a great breakfast dish, and if you're trying to alkalize quickly, you want to avoid all the sweets as much as possible to fling you back in the other direction as quickly as possible, right? And just put in your sweet things when you like really feel a craving. So this can be done for breakfast or any time throughout the day. It's quick and easy. You're going to do the millet or the quinoa. I pick them because they're quick and easy to make, high in protein. And then you are going to drizzle it with flaxseed oil. I put flaxseed oil on everything because it's incredibly nutritious. Also should be raw and filtered, kept in the fridge. Then avocado, high protein, oils, lovely. Green onions, an herb of your choice. I like cilantro with this dish. Soaked almonds, kicks it up, extra protein. Sounds like it wouldn't work in this mix, but it totally does. And tomatoes, okay? And it is so delicious, and you will just love it. I think so. There was a time before I became a vegan that you could not pay me enough to eat an avocado. It's slimy, nasty, like, no thanks. Well, this is how quickly your taste buds will change. I actually started eating avocados every single day after I became a vegan. It became my favorite thing in the world. It went from such an extreme. I would rather go to Manhattan and lick the pavement with my tongue than eat an avocado to I must have one every day. So it's so good for you. So good for you. And I would recommend it highly. They're pretty easy to grow as well. And it's based on shit food. It is not based on whole organic foods. I truly believe it. Don't worry about getting fat from nuts and seeds. It isn't gonna happen. It isn't. Avocados high in fat, people avoid them. I'm like, no, that you need that fat. If you're not eating all the shit fat, you need that fat. It's going to keep your skin healthy and glowing. So trust me, you can eat as much of it as you like, and your skin will thank you, your body will thank you, and you'll become lean and mean, quite frankly. I'll tell you really quickly though, water, it needs to be distilled or reverse osmosis. You know, ideally, pure fresh spring water would be the way to go, but I wouldn't trust any sources right now that I know of. So I would go ahead and distill it or have a really top of the line reverse osmosis machine. I still believe distilled is a bit better, but the experts say that it's just as good. We'll get into this later. I'm going to do a whole thing just on water alone. When you use Say Magic top of the line water filter, you can get an amazing range of pHs that you can use for various things, from acidic to high alkaline, and that's great. But say for your alkaline drinking water, you can't store it, because when you make alkaline water with the machine, it will actually start to break down. It'll start to lose its alkalinity after 30 minutes. That's not ideal, especially if you want to have it, sitting around stored for different uses. So I'm actually developing some techniques to purify and alkalize water naturally in a way that will last longer. That's what I'm going to be bringing to you. It's really exciting and cool. I hope you're excited about it too. So anyway, it's great to make this video, and I'm really enjoying myself. If people realize that every single molecule in their body is made out of what they put in their mouth, if you really wrap your head around that, you're not going to want to eat, shitty things. Especially now, what we're going through right now, there's so much that we need to go through. It's like it's stressing our immune system and our nervous system, and we can't do it, you guys. But now it's really key that you do everything that you can to make it through this time, because we have so many vibrational frequencies, changes that are happening that no one is talking about. That's a whole other video too, which I am going to make, because you need to know what's going on. I'll put it out there, and hopefully you'll find it interesting too. So I love you. Thank you for listening. I hope it wasn't too long and boring. You have to really be into food to find this interesting, but I know some of you are. And I know some of you will take it to heart. And if you have kids, definitely implement some of this stuff, because it'll make a huge difference in their development. If you have children who have an alternate brain function, they've been diagnosed with ADHD or like anything, you would be surprised how healing this can be to restore balance.